Workers struggling to make ends meet in an industry driven by tipping.
I like the independent contractor. I like that they can do whatever they want on their own schedule.
And how the federal push to protect those workers may end up costing everyone.
On National Coming Out Day, one Salt Lake bookstore is inviting the community to celebrate queer voices.
High pressure means clear, low pressure means storms. What will be heading our way as we move through the rest of the week? I'll let you know the forecast.
Back then, they sort of figured like, well, go somewhere else to fish, or the birds will find somewhere else.
And tonight, our ongoing special report. How an unusual lake in California might hold the keys to saving the Great Salt Lake.
Utah has long played a role in the movie industry, and we could be seeing it even more. I'm Amy Nay. I'll have that story coming up.
Live from Utah's news leader, Fox 13 News at 9 starts right now.
Tonight, Salt Lake police need your help finding this man, 60-year-old Joseph Marquez.
He's accused of shooting a 38-year-old man in the head at the Wasatch Inn earlier this morning and sending him to the hospital in extremely critical condition. Police are withholding the victim's identity right now. Police have also arrested 71-year-old Thomas Glasker. He's accused of providing Marquez with the gun and acting as his getaway driver in this crime. The shooting is just the latest violent crime to take place in Salt Lake City's Ballpark neighborhood. Residents told Fox 13 News today they're fed up with this issue that continues to get worse.
I think we're noticing it more now, and certainly we're noticing the concentration of it in the Ballpark neighborhood. It's happened now for years. We're noticing the concentration of it in the Ballpark neighborhood.
They've tried for ages to clear that area up, and it just doesn't seem to work.
If you have any information that can help investigators capture the suspect in this case, please call Salt Lake City Police.
New tonight, the driver in a deadly crash over the summer involving two 9-year-old boys is being charged with negligent homicide. On July 6, South Jordan police say 44-year-old Chantil Garn hit Braden Long and Anthony Sandoval while they were riding an e-bike. Braden died the next day. Anthony survived but was badly hurt. Garn cooperated with investigators at the time and has not been arrested. Prosecutors have proposed a summons, but it has not yet been issued. We'll keep you posted as we learn more.
A new proposal by the Department of Labor could mean higher prices on rideshare and food delivery apps. Workers in the industry say they want more benefits.
But consumers tell Fox 13 News reporter Emily Tenser they don't want to see costs go up. Emily is live at the rideshare pickup area at the airport tonight. Emily.
Uber riders say prices are already pretty high right now. One guy told me he paid around $50 last night just going from the airport to his home downtown. Behind every DoorDash order, in every Uber ride around town, there are hard workers trying to make ends meet.
I'm literally on a $3 order right now, and it's like 6 miles. So we're literally basically paying to work.
The Department of Labor wants to fix that. It filed a proposal Tuesday to turn gig industry workers, like for Uber or DoorDash, to official employees.
They're not covered by Social Security. They're not covered by worker compensation insurance.
University of Utah's senior labor economist says the change in title will ensure drivers make minimum wage and see those benefits. Peter Phillips says these large apps resist the employee model.
And the reason for that is they don't want to take responsibility for your health at work or your risk of unemployment or your retirement.
If you're driving and you get in a crash, they will not cover it because you're an independent worker.
If the change takes place, Phillips says you should expect costs to go up.
I don't like that. I like the independent contractor. I like that they can do whatever they want on their own schedule.
And in a time of inflation where everything seems expensive, some consumers don't want to pay more.
I say stay independent contractors and keep the prices low. You know, that way everybody gets to win.
Phillips Phillips has been teaching at the University of Utah as a professor of economics for 45 years now. He says it could take years for this change to even happen. The state of California tried to make that exact same switch, and that initiative failed. Reporting live at the airport, Emily Tenser, Fox 13 News, Utah.
We are following breaking news happening right now near State Road 36. This is in Tooele. Dispatch confirms a medical helicopter is on the scene at a traffic crash. We do not have the number of vehicles or people involved confirmed at this point. A Fox 13 News crew is on the way. We will keep you updated as we learn more, both on the air and online.
Today was National Coming Out Day, a day to celebrate the courage it takes to come out and identify as lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, and anywhere in between.
Fox 13 News reporter Jenna Bree takes us to one local business that has a unique way of recognizing the LGBTQ+ community every day.
Do you want a bag for these?
Under the Umbrella isn't your average bookstore.
Every single book in the store is either written by a queer person or has queer characters, discusses other topics through a queer lens.
Caitlin Mahoney says she saw the need for a queer little bookstore in Salt Lake City.
I'm making connections about myself and my past and like who I am that I'd never thought about before, and it was because of books.
Only being open for less than a year now, Mahoney already feels the difference her store is making in the community.
I can't tell you how many times somebody has come in here and just been overwhelmed by the fact that they are surrounded by rainbows and by love and positivity towards their identity.
Under the Umbrella isn't just a store where you can buy books. Mahoney says she wanted to create a safe place where queer people can come together.
It is more of a community space, not simply just a place to go buy a thing, but a place to come be in a queer space.
From a free gender-affirming closet to yoga classes, President of Utah's LGBTQ+ Chamber of Commerce Liz Pitt says there's no place like Under the Umbrella anywhere in Utah.
How exciting and wonderful to create an amazing queer space and small business, but also how courageous to open an independent bookstore.
Despite incredible community support, Mahoney says it's still hard to make money.
Trans and queer people have higher rates of unemployment, with lower wages, like higher rates of homelessness. Like, we are not necessarily the most well-off group of people who can spend their money on books.
But on days like today, Mahoney says she's reminded of just how important her store is.
Coming Out Day is like this amazing way to celebrate that we exist, and also can be like, it's okay if you're not out. It's okay if you can't come out, if you're not ready to, if it's not safe for you to. That's okay too, and if and when you are ready, like, we're gonna be here for you.
In Salt Lake City, Jenna Bree, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Well, also coming up this month, October 20th, is Spirit Day. It's a day to wear purple to show support for LGBTQ youth and speak out against bullying.
Love, not hate! Love, not hate!
Today, BYU students and others gathered for the nationwide Strikeout Queerphobia rally to bring changes to policies at religious schools. Organizers and attendees say even though BYU is a private university owned by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, it does receive federal funds. So they hope every student can have a right to express who they are.
I'm a queer student, so I've had to live every day for the past year and a half, just feeling all these negative emotions, feeling like I can't be myself, feeling like I have to hide certain parts of my life.
Groups such as Black Menaces worked with the student community to help raise awareness of the challenges queer students face. They hope coming together like this can bring changes to what they claim are discriminatory policies.
Utah Weather Authority Breck Bolton back once again today with more good news. Weather is just so nice, Breck.
Tonight included.
Absolutely, yeah. We didn't change things too much with this cool front that pushed through the state, dropping temperatures a little bit, but not bad at all. We need a little bit of a temperature drop when we've got Afternoon highs in the 80s here in the middle of October. Some relief in sight, but still enjoying those beautiful colors. Sharing another photo coming up on our Facebook page. This is in between Desolation Lake and Dog Lake as you make your move through Mill Creek Canyon. Yeah, they call this the Gold Tunnel. These aspens and the gold colors are spectacular here throughout the state. Now, today's high temperatures, cooler, yes, but still above average by almost 10 degrees. We did make it up to 72 degrees in Logan, mid-70s in Salt Lake City, as well as over towards northeastern Utah. Close to 80 degrees for your high in Moab today, 86 in St. George. Where do we stand now? Well, we're down into the low 50s at this hour in Logan, 63 right now in the capital city, upper 50s in Provo, mid-50s through west central Utah, mid-70s in St. George. We're looking at temperatures to be a little cooler due to this front that has swept through, but it's been a dry, cool front with only a few high clouds around, so no activity from radar. We're good to go here in the overnight hours. We're keeping it clear with the overnight low in the 50s. Now, we should be in the upper 60s. Do we see 60s in the forecast? Looking ahead, I'll let you know coming up.
In eastern California, an unusual, almost otherworldly saltwater lake may hold a key to saving the Great Salt Lake. We're going to take you there.
I'm counting my lucky stars right now.
A Spanish Fork homeowner nearly misses getting hit by a garbage truck as it comes crashing through his home. He tells Fox 13 News about the harrowing experience.
And we'll take an in-depth look at Utah's growing film industry. We'll explain how a lot more movies might be made in the Beehive State.
Jazz playing in their third of 4 preseason games tonight. Highlights against the Spurs coming up.
This week, Fox 13 News has been taking you around the West, showing you what has happened to the Great Basin's other saltwater lakes. We're doing it in hopes of finding solutions to the receding Great Salt Lake.
And tonight, we'll take you to the eastern slopes of the Sierra Nevada mountains, where a small group charted a new path to save an ancient lake. Fox 13 News anchor Max Roth is our guide.
A lot of people describe saltwater lakes as dead because most don't support typical marine life. But most of us now realize the Great Salt Lake is alive, and it sustains life in America's driest region, the Great Basin. Last night, we showed you how Los Angeles diverted a river and took the life from Owens Lake. Tonight, we see another lake that faced that same fate until a creative effort saved it. Mono Lake is a distinct-looking circle on a map, kind of like a lumpy bagel. In person, it's an entrancing gem on the eastern edge of some of America's tallest mountains. Yosemite National Park is right up the road. Denise just drove to Mono for the first time since her childhood.
Just everything seems a little different, a little drier and smaller.
That's one of many similarities between Mono Lake and the Great Salt Lake. Both aren't what they once were. Each lake serves as punctuation at the east and west ends of the Great Basin, each in the shadow of mountains that provide life-sustaining water. The Mono Lake Committee is a nonprofit dedicated to preserving the lake.
1, 2, 3.
And they took our team of journalists onto the lake in canoes. Like the Great Salt Lake, Mono teems with birds in the water and along the shores and islands. Both are critical to entire species.
We've already seen eared grebes, Canada geese, avocets. I think there was a northern harrier that just went by, yeah.
While birds are suffering due to low lake levels in the Great Basin, they may be what saves Mono and the Great Salt Lake. They gained the notice of the Audubon Society, which has advocated for the Great Basin's lakes for more than a generation. Marcel Shoup directs Audubon's Saline Lakes program.
Here at Great Salt Lake and Mono Lake, you have 99% of the North American population of eared grebes that use these two lakes.
Mono is tiny compared to the Great Salt Lake. Another difference, Mono has these tufas. They're spires that look like they're drawn by Dr. Seuss, but they're limestone formed by the separation of minerals when subsurface fresh springs emerge into this alkaline lake. The tufas can only grow underwater, so they are natural measuring sticks, showing Mono is much lower than it was before Los Angeles claimed its water rights and extended its aqueduct to Mono's inlet of Levining Creek.
I can remember coming here, and there'd be no water going over the dam.
Jeff McQuilkin directs the Mono Lake Committee. He's showing us the northernmost intake of the Los Angeles Aqueduct. Water entering here has a 419-mile trip to the big city. And the big city used to take the lion's share of it. But when the water level dropped, a professor and a group of college students noticed. They surveyed the lake's ecosystem, documented the danger to brine shrimp and birds, and people breathing dust. And they sued for the lake's right to exist.
Mono Lake was at the forefront of realizing that if we don't manage water well and give the environment and birds and wildlife and places that people like to recreate and see at the table, you're not going to have a state that's where you want to live, and you're going to have a lot of ecological problems.
That lawsuit, brought by the newly formed Mono Lake Committee and the Audubon Society, asked the courts to recognize water rights don't override the vital interests of the ecosystem and the people who have to live with the consequences of disappearing water. In 1983, the California Supreme Court said they were right. The Los Angeles Department of Water and Power had gone too far.
So there is a voice for the environment, a seat at the table, and figuring things out because it's important. But I think back then they sort of figured like, well, go somewhere else to fish, or the birds will find somewhere else. And now we know there really aren't other somewhere else.
Things are more complicated in Utah. Instead of one entity, the LA Department of Water and Power, the Great Salt Lake's water is diverted by several. And we don't have a faraway city to blame. We are taking the water from our lake. In studio, Max Roth, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Fox 13 News is part of the Great Salt Lake Collaborative. It's a group of local news outlets, academic groups, and community organizations, all calling attention to the Great Salt Lake and trying to find solutions to save it. You can find out more by visiting the link on your screen.
Well, of course, we're going to be looking at the weather, trying to help out Mother Nature, bringing, of course, some rain, maybe even some snow. We haven't seen much here so far for the month of October, and we don't have much in the forecast as we look ahead. Another beautiful day, though. Starting off, I want to share another photo coming in for the sunrise here this morning. A great start to the day. Now, we did have a weak cool front make its move here throughout portions of northern and eastern Utah. Didn't bring much as far as rain is concerned, but it did drop afternoon highs, where yesterday we were at 80 degrees in Salt Lake City. Today's official high, 76. So above average, as we should be in the 60s, with overnight lows in the mid 40s. So we looked overnight, we are in the mid 50s, and it will be a little bit cooler, but still we're going to keep temperatures above average. At this hour, at least as we look along the Wasatch Front, still holding on to the 60s. Currently in the capital city, upper 50s from Ogden through Provo. Winds light right now. And speaking, of course, with all these fall colors, right now, many locations and counties in peak season, I should say, where as we can take a look from Box Elder County through the Wasatch Front, incorporating Summit, Wasatch into Uinta counties, and then through central Utah as well. Most of the locations near peak, we're not allowing those colors to fade quite yet, but our window of opportunity, well, we got to take advantage of it. And once again, as we look ahead, especially for this weekend, we're going to be holding on to clear conditions, no concerns to be doing any traveling to go through some of those popular fall drives as we look across the state. Now, here's the bigger picture. Cool front swept through, drier air funneling in. Now we look off towards the west. We have high pressure, which brings the sunshine and the warmer temperatures, and a storm system moving towards the southern end or southern coast there of California. Now, under this situation, when you have high pressure over low pressure, we call this a blocking pattern. Nothing really moves. So that means nothing's going to be really changing here across the state, in that it will remain dry, as we'll keep temperatures, above average here over the next few days. Now, that low pressure system, that storm near the California coast, will move inland and then put its sights on southern Utah as we look towards the beginning of next week. That at least brings a portion of Utah, at least the southern end, seeing a chance of some rain showers towards next week. But for tonight, it's clear. Overnight lows, again, a little bit cooler. 40s and 50s here along the Wasatch Front through central Utah. A few more spots where we'll see overnight lows in the upper 30s. Upper 50s expected in St. George. Tomorrow, very similar to today, we've got sunny skies. Temperatures in the low to mid 70s here along the Wasatch Front, mid 70s through central Utah. For St. George, it's 86, and upper 80s coming back Thursday, Friday, Saturday is clear. A few clouds on Sunday. Then we bring a chance of those rain showers coming in from the south that'll cool off temperatures just a little bit. Now for northern Utah, sunny, clear, no issues, no rain as temperatures remain above average. We're in the mid-70s, even the upper 70s heading into the weekend.
Breck, thank you. Straight ahead, NASA says it's ready to defend Earth if an asteroid heads our way. What we're learning about their latest mission when we come back.
They almost did it. They were that close to getting away with it.
And remembering a film, television, and Broadway icon, we take a look back at the life and legacy of Angela Lansbury.
That is Angela Lansbury performing with the Tabernacle Choir at Temple Square in 2017. Her family announced today she passed away peacefully in her sleep. She was just days away from her 97th birthday. Lansbury is best known for her roles as America's favorite TV sleuth, Jessica Fletcher, in Murder, She Wrote, and as the motherly Mrs. Potts in the Disney animated film Beauty and the Beast.
She is a legend. Tonight, we are learning more about NASA's successful mission last month to change the trajectory of an asteroid by slamming a spacecraft right into it. The new observations from telescopes show the asteroid's orbit has been shortened by 32 minutes. And that's better than NASA's goal, which was to shave at least 10 minutes off the path. The broader intention of the mission was to see if NASA could redirect an asteroid heading to destroy Earth.
You may have seen Utah in a number of your favorite movies, and you might be seeing even more thanks to an incentive passed by the state legislature earlier this year. I'm Amy Nail. I'll have more details on that coming up.
A Utah man is thankful he's alive tonight.
The fact that I was just in that room and left, it's a miracle. I'm just happy that I'm here.
What he says about the moment a garbage truck came crashing into his home.
Weber State football, the only undefeated team in the state. Hear from head coach Jay Hill on his 100th game.
Hollywood has a rich history here in Utah.
We have a built-in backdrop here, Bob. From the red rocks that were as much of a main character in the old westerns to the mountains that have played the backdrop to popular modern series today.
And as Fox 13 News anchor Amy Nay reports, the future of film in Utah could shine even brighter.
You may be surprised at just how many movies were filmed right here in our backyard. Of course, there are classic scenes that are unmistakably Utah. But then there are so many more that you might think were somewhere else. And thanks to a new incentive that was passed in the state legislature at the start of this year, there could be a lot more where this came from, where Utah plays the role as one of the main characters.
California has officially invaded.
Kelly Stoll is the King County Film Commission, speaking to me from a remote and remarkable location.
In the middle of Kane County, in an undisclosed area.
Right next to where a major Hollywood production was just wrapping up.
It's been sanctioned and they've spent a lot of money to be here.
From the sands of southern Utah to the state capitol in Salt Lake City and the Utah Film Commission located inside historic Council Hall.
This is fun. Oh my gosh, look at all these.
Where it's hard to miss the rich history and highlights of Utah's major role in the movie business.
Hi, are you Virginia? Virginia, I'm Amy. It's so nice to meet you. Thanks for meeting with us today. I loved walking up and seeing all the posters.
Virginia Pierce is director of the Utah Film Commission.
You feel like you're part of something.
Walking us through some of the many movies filmed here in our state since it all began nearly a century ago.
They're shooting High School Musical 4. That, I would say, is one of those films worldwide that people recognize the most.
Easy Rider. I didn't even think about that one, but yeah.
Yeah, they shot down on Highway 163, same place as Forrest Gump.
Also remember this with Johnny Depp in Pirates of the Caribbean.
That's that scene where he sort of like drops in on the ship and he's like, it's the bottom of the ocean, it's supposed to be. So, World's Fastest Indian, also Bonneville Salt Flats. That's a great Anthony Hopkins movie.
At Galaxy
And
Quest.
Galaxy Quest.
Now that's the one that's like.
I think we have a picture of them over here, yeah. So that was Goblin Valley. Dumb and Dumber, we didn't talk about Dumb and Dumber. That one.
How did we miss that one?
How did we miss that one?
And the list goes on and on. Just look at some of these well-known movies filmed all across the state.
A lot of Westerns.
A lot of Westerns.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Pony
Which-
Express.
Pony Express.
Green Grass of Wyoming, right here in Utah.
Right here. My Friend Flicka.
She says it was the Western The Covered Wagon that was the first to put Utah on the big screen in 1924.
That really brought Utah's landscapes to mainstream America.
And it seemed to be the start of a love affair.
There are a lot of movies.
A lot of movies. I mean, hundreds and hundreds of movies. I think it's thousands and thousands of movies since, 1924. And a lot this year.
She says that's thanks in part to a rural incentive passed by the state legislature in the 2022 session, becoming law this spring.
It really did give us a shot in the arm. So we've had a ton of production this past summer and fall.
Absolutely. It's been great. Our area is just like the most beautiful place to make a movie or to make a commercial. And so those incentives have really kind of bumped up the game.
I know that Kevin Costner has been in your neck of the woods and has been talking quite a bit about the project he has going on there. What's that been like?
That's been, it's been great. I just had a great opportunity recently to meet with him and to provide him with the key to the city, actually, because of his outstanding contribution to our community.
Starting to film his new series of Westerns called Horizon, an American Saga in Moab this fall and other southern Utah areas. Costner was a big proponent of the rural incentive after his series Yellowstone left Utah for Montana when the incentive there was better for their production's bottom line.
They're in our hotels, they're eating in our restaurants. What I'm excited about is the Western movies are coming back, right? We've seen, some Westerns, but, Kevin Costner is really kind of bringing that back.
Believing Costner's $50+ million project wouldn't be here without the incentive, where productions get a rebate for money spent in more rural communities.
It seems to be booming right now. It seems like the whole state is busy.
Not everyone in these small towns likes all the commotion.
I think it's been a little bit of a disruption for a few folks that live close by that are used to having their privacy.
But he says for the most part, locals welcome the productions and what they bring with them.
We love the money that they leave and the pictures that they take.
You didn't tell me all the big stars in the picture that's wrapping up today.
So, yeah, I'm on a top secret project. The incentivized projects bring unincentivized projects. They know we have the workforce and we obviously have the backdrops.
Those backdrops and Utah's natural geologic diversity, he says, is why filmmakers want to make their movie here.
Everything from sand dunes that look like the Sahara Desert to the high mountain country of the Swiss Alps or Montana or the Wind Rivers and the cityscapes of our large metropolitan areas as well. Really, we have everything in Utah, the Bonneville Salt Flats. That all makes us competitive, but we need the incentive to help push us over the top. And that's why it's important.
Utah's incentive still pretty conservative compared to many states. In fact, about $8 million here compared to New Mexico to our south at $110 million and California at a whopping $660 million. Now, if you're interested in seeing the biz from behind the scenes, apparently they're always looking for extras, and you can find out more by going to film.utah.gov. And we'll link you over from our website, fox13now.com, and you may see yourself up on the big screen. In studio, Amy Nay, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Right now, it is still up in the air whether Congressman Burgess Owens will attend tomorrow's 4th District debate. The Utah Debate Commission said this afternoon it has not received confirmation yet from his team. He did not attend the Republican primary debate back in June. Now, Owens' Democratic opponent, Darlene McDonald, wrote in a statement, quote, "We are dismayed that the worst member of our federal delegation in terms of constituent response is possibly continuing his pattern of willfully sitting on the bench to avoid any form of accountability." Fox 13 News is awaiting a response from Representative Owens.
A Spanish Fork man says it is a miracle he is alive tonight after a garbage truck came crashing into his house this morning. Daniel Wraith says he was getting ready for work and had just walked out of his kitchen when he heard a very loud thundering sound. He says he walked toward the noise and saw the cab of the garbage truck sitting in his dining room. Spanish Fork police say the 58-year-old garbage truck driver possibly had a seizure leading to the crash. The driver was conscious and talking before being taken to Spanish Fork Hospital. Knowing he was in the kitchen just before the crash, Wraith says he is counting his lucky stars that he's okay.
I'm in shock. I look at that and I just feel numb right now. That's my home.
Wraith says the Red Cross is trying to find a long-term living solution while the house is getting fixed.
Glad they're okay. Coming up, new technology here in Utah could be a game changer when it comes to solving cold cases. We'll explain.
And ground was broken today for a new, improved Logan fire station after controversy over its location. What was at issue and how it was resolved?
And before we go to break, sharing another photo highlighting the sunset here across the Salt Lake Valley. Stephanie, thank you for sending that in. Now, we had a cool front move through northern Utah, brought some cooler air, but it also brought some smoke. Does the smoke stick around? I'll let you know. Coming up later on the newscast.
New technology is proving to be a game changer when it comes to solving cold case crimes. Utah-based Intermountain Forensics is partnering with Astria Forensics to validate and integrate the use of the new technology. It's called Forensic Investigative Genetic Genealogy and is being credited with solving a large number of cold cases recently, such as murders committed by the Golden State Killer.
This technique is useful for the worst of the worst samples. Samples that are, and these would include bones, teeth, rootless hairs, DNA samples from decades, or even centuries old.
The technology was actually developed to study prehistoric animals and ancient man, but gives scientists the best chance yet to solve cold cases and bring closure to grieving families.
A groundbreaking today brought both sides in a dispute together about the location of a new Logan fire station. Logan Fire and city officials gathered to break ground today for the new Station 70 right across the street from the current station, which is falling apart. City officials wanted to build behind their station, but local business owners complained they would lose parking and customers. Both business workers and the fire chief say they're happy they could have a conversation and find a new location.
I think it's great that the voices were actually heard and that changes were made to help the businesses. I think that's amazing that the council actually listened.
This is the right decision. It's the right for the city and the fire service for the future to be located right here where we have traditionally been, where we're best able to best serve this neighborhood.
Logan City Fire says they expect to move in August of next year.
Still ahead, we'll show you how the members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints are helping people who have lost everything to Hurricane Ian.
I'm Andrea Urban, and the reigning Pac-12 champions, the Utah Utes. They find themselves in a similar spot as last year, 4-2 with USC coming to town. How they're feeling coming up in sports. Plus, the Utah Jazz played in the third of their 4 preseason games tonight at the Viv. Highlights from their matchup against the Spurs. We'll be right back.
We have new information now on the breaking news happening near State Road 36 in Tooele. We told you about this earlier in the newscast. We now know one person has died in a traffic crash there. Earlier, dispatch confirmed that a medical helicopter was also on scene. Now, we do not have the number of vehicles or people involved in this accident confirmed yet, but we will continue to gather information and keep you updated as we learn more here on the air and online at fox13now.com.
In world news tonight, Russia is calling out the United States for its involvement in the Kremlin's war with Ukraine. Today, a Kremlin spokesman said the U.S. is already, quote, pretty bogged down in the Ukraine conflict. President Joe Biden condemned Russia's attacks on Ukrainian cities yesterday and has announced plans to assist Ukraine with advanced air defense systems. Now, this is on top of the funds and security assistance the U.S. is already providing the war-torn country. The Kremlin spokesman called actions by the U.S. de facto involvement.
Today, Buckingham Palace announced that King Charles III's coronation will take place at Westminster Abbey in London on May 6th of next year. The 73-year-old king became Britain's reigning monarch last month after the death of his mother, Queen Elizabeth II. Scheduling his coronation for next year will allow an appropriate mourning period for his mother. And to plan the ceremony, Charles will be crowned alongside his wife Camilla, the Queen Consort. Members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints are helping Floridians recover from Hurricane Ian.
Well, thousands of volunteers have provided almost 84,000 hours of service to hurricane victims. That's so far. The church has donated more than 150,000 pounds of supplies to aid in recovery efforts. Floridians, of course, are very appreciative.
It's exciting and it's emotional.
Why?
Because you're here to help us. It's that human touch that is so needed right now.
Church members are also answering calls for disaster assistance through a crisis cleanup hotline. In just the last week, 750 Latter-day Saints answered more than 13,000 calls.
All right, moving to your weather forecast, getting you ready for the rest of the week. Moving into the weekend, of course, we've been highlighting with a focus that Thursday, Friday, many of the kids on fall break, opportunities to go throughout the state, enjoying this wonderful weather that continues on, even though we had a little weak cool front move through here across portions of northern and eastern Utah. We only saw a minor temperature drop, but we still kept conditions fairly clear. A little bit more smoke in the air, though, here across northern Utah. Right now, we're at 63 degrees. And speaking of smoke, air quality decreasing just a little bit. We got up into that moderate concern level across some of the counties here throughout northern Utah. Looking ahead, computer models showing the smoke will be in place overnight, and then it starts to thin out, but it also spreads across the state as high pressure is in place. We'll keep that northwest flow going, and then we'll kind of keep the air somewhat stagnant here over the next several days. But you can really see, again, that smoke should improve as we move from Thursday into Friday. So as we are in that moderate concern level here along the Wasatch Front, improvements expected moving through the weekend. But then another front pushes in next week that could maybe bring a little bit of smoke back into play here as we look towards next week, Monday. That's what the focus of the smoke. Now let's focus on the chances of precipitation, the rain. Do we see any activity? Well, it's been dry here over the past several days, except across southern Utah yesterday. And even as we look towards Sunday, we had a few isolated showers. That moisture has moved on. We've got a storm that's brewing off the California coast there. Southern end, though, as we look, as it will be in place as a blocking pattern, really doesn't mix up the pattern here moving ahead. But this little storm system that's tracking through Southern California, slow to move, will finally make its progression towards areas such as Arizona and then start to creep into southern Utah as we go from Sunday into Monday. That brings a better chance of seeing maybe some scattered rain showers, maybe a few isolated thunderstorms looking towards next week, Monday. So we're kind of allowing that rain to be pushed back just a little bit as we look towards next week. But dry until then, and it looks like it'll be a nice start to your day for tomorrow here along the Wasatch Front. Temperatures a little bit cooler, though. We're in the low 50s, moving into the 60s by 11 o'clock. And highs, once again, as we saw today, getting up into the mid-70s, at least in Salt Lake City. Ogden, Salt Lake City, we'll be looking at low 70s. Turning towards central Utah, we've got low to mid-70s as well. And for St. George, it's 80s moving through the rest of the week into the weekend. So that fall break still in line, that you're good to go with any plans that you have. We'll hold off those showers until Monday or Tuesday. Northern Utah, we don't see the rain, we see the sunshine. And we continue to see these temperatures about 10 degrees above average, and that'll be the case, again, looking through the weekend.
The Utah Jazz season opener is a week from tomorrow, but first, the Jazz have 2 more preseason games that they have to get through. Utah winning 1 and dropping 1 this far. Can they get a win as a brand new team that they are? Jazz head coach and Will Hardy and Greg Popovich, gosh, they have a lot of history. Will learning under Pop during his time in San Antonio. So I put together the best Jazz highlights since we're all trying to get to know this team. Kellen Horton-Tucker taking the ball away and looking ahead to Jared Vanderbilt for the slam. Turns out this team has some hops. Laurie Markkinen leading the way for the Jazz tonight with 18, and then Jordan Clarkson says, I can do that too. One-handed slam for JC. Then Horton-Tucker flies high and rattles the house with this one. We might as well keep it going, right? The first-round draft pick, Walker Kessler, on the move, and thank you very much. He contributed 12. Now, the Jazz did trail as much as 23 points tonight, but managed to bring the game within single digits. Rudy Gay getting up and getting big, and a late Jared Butler 3 gave the Jazz some hope, but they fall short, 111-104. And this Saturday at 6 p.m. right here on Fox 13, you'll see the 20th ranked Utes host the 7th ranked USC Trojans. Last season, Utah won the Pac-12 championship for the first time in school history. So there's a target on their back, but it feels a little different this year. And I really like what wide receiver Devon Bailey said at practice. Just because we're champs, we cannot get comfortable.
Obviously, this is the first time in the program history that we have been the Pac-12 reigning champions. We can't let that be the reason why we get complacent. Like, we think that, oh, it's just going to be a cakewalk like last year, you know, like, oh, because we were champions, like, everybody's going to be afraid of us. Like, no, we understand that every game is going to be the team giving their very best against us. So I feel like we could be better at responding to that kind of that energy that we are getting in every single game. So it's a work in progress, but, you know, I have faith in my teammates and I have faith in the coaches that we will bounce back, and we're going to make sure that we just tighten up all the loose ends.
And the only undefeated team in the state, the Weber State Wildcats, topping Eastern Washington over the weekend, extending their win streak to 5-0. Jay Hill is in his 9th season as head coach, and this Saturday's game against Portland State will be his 100th game.
Yeah, that's amazing. I didn't know that. Well, I've said it a lot. This place is pretty special, and we've loved it here. 100 games in any school in today's world, being able to coach somewhere for 100 games is a huge deal. So grateful for that, excited for this game, not just for that, but for what it represents for our future this season. Yeah, this will be a big one.
100 games for Jay Hill. Big accomplishment. Wow. Congratulations to him. Utah Jazz lose, but they look promising.
Well, those highlights, I was impressed.
Yeah, because we didn't see the other team score once.
Well, I just left that out.
We didn't need to see that.
Yeah, again, we're trying to get to know this new team.
Sure.
Yes, keep those introductions coming.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Andrea.
We'll be right back. Thanks for being part of Fox 13 News at 9.
Stick around. QuickCast is next.